Sometimes, the people we pass by every day carry stories heavier than we could ever imagine. He thought she was just another passenger, silent, tired, and unable to pay. He almost refused her ride, until something in her eyes stopped him. He chose kindness without knowing why, but when he learned the truth, he realized she had given him more than he gave her. Rashid had been driving his yellow taxi through the city streets for almost 15 years. Every day looked the same. Early mornings, endless traffic, honking cars, and passengers who rarely even said thank you. He wasn't bitter, but life had worn him down. He had a family to feed, bills piling up, and an old taxi that broke down more often than it ran smoothly. Yet he kept going, because that's what life had taught him. Keep going, even when no one claps for you. It was a cold winter evening. The sun had already disappeared behind the tall buildings, and the streetlights flickered to life. Rashid was tired. His back ached and his stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since morning. He was ready to go home when he saw her. A woman stood by the roadside, shivering under a thin shawl. She wasn't dressed like someone who could afford a ride. Her clothes were worn, her hair messy as if she hadn't slept. She raised her hand weakly, signaling for a taxi. Rashid almost drove past her. Probably won't pay, he thought. I can't afford another argument today. But then she looked at him, not with desperation, but with dignity, as if silently saying, "Please, I won't bother you if you don't help me." He stopped. She opened the door gently and sat in the back seat. She didn't say much, just whispered the address of a hospital across town. Rashid noticed her hands trembling. She held a small plastic bag close to her chest, as if it were precious. He glanced at her through the mirror. She was staring outside, eyes red, not from cold, but from tears she didn't want to shed. Something inside him softened. After a few minutes, he spoke. "Is everything okay?" She forced a smile. "Yes, just need to reach quickly." Her voice cracked on the word quickly. He didn't ask more. He just drove. As they passed through the city, Rashid couldn't help but wonder. Why the hospital? Why alone? Why at this hour? But he didn't pry. He knew what it felt like when silence was easier than explaining. When they reached the hospital, she didn't get down immediately. She held the plastic bag tighter, took a deep breath, and finally spoke. I'm sorry, I don't have enough money for the full fare. I can pay half tomorrow if you trust me." Her eyes were filled with shame, not because she had no money, but because she had to ask. Rashid froze. He had been in this situation before. Many passengers had given excuses, promising to pay later and disappearing forever. He had lost money before. He had been lied to, cheated, insulted. His first instinct was to refuse. "Madame, I'm sorry." He said firmly, "This is my job. I have a family. I can't drive for free." She nodded without protest. She understood. She slowly reached for the door handle, but before she could step out, she whispered, "I just need to give this to someone before it's too late." Her voice shook. Rashid's eyes moved to the plastic bag again. It wasn't food, it wasn't clothes, it was medicine. He could now see the label clearly. Chemotherapy treatment pack. His heart stopped. Suddenly, everything made sense. The hospital, the silence, the trembling hands. He swallowed. "For you?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "No, for my daughter." Rashid felt a sting in his chest. She continued, voice barely audible. "She's 8. She's been fighting cancer for a year today. Today was her last dose. I had no money left. I sold my wedding ring this morning to buy this." Tears finally escaped her eyes. Rashid didn't know what to say. The same world that had hardened him was now breaking him from within. The woman stepped out of the taxi and began to walk toward the hospital gate slowly, almost stumbling. She didn't look back. She didn't argue for mercy. She didn't try to convince him. She walked with the quiet strength of a mother who had already sacrificed everything. Rashid sat frozen behind the wheel. Something inside him roared. He turned off the meter. He opened his door, rushed toward her, and called out, "Madame." She turned, startled. He took a deep breath, his voice shaking. "There is no fare. Go, quickly, and I'll wait here in case you need a ride back." Her lips parted in disbelief. She didn't say thank you. Instead, she placed her hand on her heart and nodded. That one gesture said more than words ever could. Rashid waited in his taxi, the engine off, the cold wind blowing through the slightly open window. But he didn't feel the cold anymore. He just sat there watching the hospital entrance. Minutes passed, then an hour. Finally, he saw her again. She was walking slowly, her steps weak but lighter than before. This time, she had no plastic bag in her hands, just a small smile on her face. She reached the taxi and got in quietly. "How is she?" Rashid asked softly. "She smiled today." The woman replied, tears returning, but these tears were different. "Softer, brighter," the doctor said. "She's responding well. If she completes this cycle, she might recover fully." Rashid felt warmth spread through his chest. He started the car. As they drove back, she spoke again. "You didn't know me, you didn't owe me anything. Why did you help?" Rashid smiled faintly. "Because someone once helped me when I thought no one would." He paused. "My son was born premature. I needed money for an incubator. I asked every friend, every relative, but no one helped. A stranger did. He paid without asking who I was. He just said, 'Return it to someone else when you can.'" Silence filled the car. The woman wiped her tears. "Today, you returned it." Rashid looked at her through the mirror. "No, you did. You reminded me why kindness matters." They reached her house. She stepped out slowly and turned back one last time. "I cannot repay you," she said. "You already have," he replied, "by giving me back my faith." She walked away, her figure fading into the night, but her story stayed with him. From that day on, Rashid didn't just drive passengers. He looked at them, he listened to them, he felt for them, because everyone, no matter how ordinary they seem, carries a story worth kindness. Kindness doesn't always change the world, but for one person, in one moment, it can mean everything. We never know what battles others are fighting silently. So when in doubt, choose kindness, because sometimes giving a free ride can lead someone back to hope and lead us back to humanity.